What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. I'm really excited about this one because it's finally like a positive type recap video of the last 6 months. I feel like every time after a season for the last 3 years or so, I kind of give a recap of how that went, and it's been really negative for a long period of time, but I feel like we're finally out of the woods. We're starting to PR again, training's working, the progression's there. So yeah, this is going to be sort of my season recap of this last indoor season, but I'm going to start the recap with when I first started getting coached under my dad in September. Actually, it was the end of August. So we're going to rewind the clock all the way back to the middle of August right now, to the very beginning. And there's some important things I kind of want to get off my chest now. So after I ran 4:10 and I knew my time with Brooks was almost assuredly going to be done because I knew I was going to get dropped at this point, I was like this close to just hanging it up and quitting. I was really this close to quitting running, and I want to tell you guys that now because I'm sure that a lot of you guys, when running is not going well, you also want to quit, and you feel like you're doing all the right things always, but things just keep going wrong. And in my case, it was just I kept getting sick and I kept getting injured, and COVID honestly did a number on me. It took me out a lot longer than I thought it would. I kind of just got to this point where I was like, look, it didn't work with Brooks. I don't really have the times to get signed by another team, so I may as well hang it up. But of course I didn't, and the reason I didn't hang it up is because I can't go to sleep at night thinking that that was all I had to give. And it wasn't, because I'm already starting to PR again only 6 months later, and that little tiny bit of hope left that, hey, you are still good, you can still PR as long as you are consistent. It was enough for me to say I am willing to give it a chance, and willing to give YouTube another chance, and just the sport another chance. It is brutal. It is absolutely brutal, the sport of running, if you dedicate yourself to it, because you are going to fail so often. And that's sort of where I found myself for the last 3 years. I think it's awesome that I've been able to kind of dig myself out of this hole with the support of all of you guys, and you guys got to see that whole journey back out and to finally where we're PRing again. But this was really an important part of the video I wanted to talk about, just that it's very, very hard, and don't give up even when you really want to. I think that there is a future for me in this sport, and we're just gonna see what happens. Sorry about this long rant beginning of this video, but let me just get into it. So the first workout I did under my dad was literally 5 by mile at 5:18, 5:11, 5:08, 5:04, 4:54. And I remember I was alone on the track with him. We were filming the last ride actually, and he said to me, he said, look, this is gonna be really hard because you're in really bad shape right now and you have no training partners, so you need to really tell me if you're committed to this, because he didn't want to waste his time, he didn't want to waste my time. I said, no, I'm committed, so let's just kind of go from there. And that workout is so lame, but from there, the whole month of September, I ran around 65 mile weeks and continued to do these mile workouts, 1K workouts, and then 5 to 6 mile tempo runs. And my mile workouts slowly started churning down a little bit, where I would close the last rep or two in like low 450, and then I would do 8 by 1K all the time, right around 307 to start for all 8 reps. And then slowly by the middle of October, they were working down to like 303 pace for every rep. So I was slowly building up my aerobic capacity. I didn't put spikes on. I didn't do a single stride pretty much all fall. And we were really just targeting all of this aerobic type work, just pure aerobic base for the Thanksgiving turkey trot race. Before the Thanksgiving turkey trot race, I went back to Seattle and trained in Seattle for a few more weeks. So this is sort of like middle to beginning of November time period. And I had some good workouts. I did a really fast tempo. I ran like 5:15 pace in Seattle for a 6 mile tempo, which I was pleased with it. And then right before the Thanksgiving turkey trot race, I did my final 1 mile workout. I did 5 by mile. This time I went like 453, 449, 448, 446, 445. So whatever, 5 reps around 448 pace. And that was like 2 months after I had done a workout, 5 by mile, averaging like 5:10 pace. You can get back into shape pretty quick. That was only 2 months of good training. I was really excited to finally hop back into it and run this Thanksgiving race. My goal was to run low 24. I would have loved to break 24 minutes for it, but it wasn't in the cards for me that day. I ended up running 24:19 for second place. Shout out to James Maniscalco from Yukon. He's a really good runner himself. He took my scalp, he beat me, just clean beat me. I had a good day, he beat me. And yeah, so I ran 24:19 there and I was pleased with it. I was like, like the box has been checked off. We have gotten through this part of the training. I'm healthy and now I can go back to Seattle. But before I went back to Seattle, I took a road trip all the way down to LA to watch my boy Ari Clow do his triathlon race at Indian Wells. So I got to see Ari. I met Lionel Sanders for like 1 second. I don't really know him that much at all, but it was really cool seeing that other big, you know, triathlete slash YouTuber out there. And I had some really good workouts in LA. I specifically did one workout. It was a 9:18 2-mile to start, and then I jogged a lap, and then I did 3 by mile, 448, 448, 447, and that was a really good workout for me. So after I did that workout, I came back to Seattle, and I was feeling super fit, but also super tired. My dad had me just take 2 weeks of 45 to 50 mile weeks, no workouts until the new year, and I was able to relax. I went to Alaska with Allie for Christmas, and then we went to Hawaii with her family. We had a beautiful, amazing time, and it was great. So I was able to refresh there mentally, physically, let that fitness soak in for 2022. So at the beginning of 2022, my dad and I, our initial plan was not to race indoor track. I said in a video I was not going to race any indoor track races because we felt like, you know, I'd gotten into good shape, but I still wasn't kind of there on the speed side yet. Obviously we hadn't touched any of that. We really spent all of the fall just trying to build up just a clean base. As we got deeper into the month of January, we both felt like at a certain point I needed to start ramping things up on the speed end, and I was starting to get really stale with just doing like mile repeats and 1K repeats. So my dad pulled an audible last second and said, hey, let's try to focus up and maybe race.
We've agreed that you'll try to race in a few weeks. I think in mid-February, try to get a 3K. I think you have to get out there and test yourself at some point.
I actually do want to take this time to give credit to my 2 really good friends from college, Nick Wareham and Kenny Rowe. They both were texting me saying, hey man, you're in good shape, you should probably try to race. So they convinced me as well to race 2 meets, the Valentine Invitational at Boston and the Last Chance meet at Boston. So I had about a month now of good training to get under my belt before I did these 3Ks. So for that month, my dad started having me work down my training a little bit. We did shorter reps, like 800s, 600s, 400s, nothing faster than 65 pace. I got stronger and stronger. I did a workout 16 by 400 on a minute rest, around like 66 average. And these aren't like mind-blowing workouts. They weren't turning any heads, and most people were saying, hey, maybe 815 is what you look like you're in shape for. But we kind of knew that I was low-key getting very strong. So we also did a couple workouts where we would do 8 by 800, cutting down from like 220 to 215-ish. And again, this wasn't a crazy impressive looking workout, but I was slowly building up that strength, and you know, the speed was coming down little by little as well. So about 10 days out from my first race, we decided to do a 2K time trial. So 5 laps around the track. Thankfully I had my boy Randy pace me for it. And I still hadn't put spikes on at this point because we were just being very low risk. I didn't want to hurt myself. Last year I hurt myself when I wore spikes, so this year we did not want to do that. So I wore the Brooks Hyperion Elite 2s and ran 5:25 for this effort. which is coming through the mile in 4:20. My dad said if you can come through the mile in 4:20 and then run another lap at that pace, you're going to be in a good position to run a good 3K in about 10 days. To put that into perspective, 5:25 2K, if you were to continue going for another 1K, is 8:10 for a 3K. I was only on 8:10 pace and it felt really hard, and I was just like a little discouraged after I only ran 5:25 for a 2K time trial. But my dad kept saying, look, you were wearing flats, you were in the cold Seattle weather, it was windy out, you weren't in a real race environment, yada, yada, yada. All of these factors, he said, look, just don't worry about the time. You did a great effort, you will be fine for this race. So I trusted what my dad said, flew out to Boston a week later, and had my first race. To my dad's credit, he was correct about where my assumed fitness was at, and I ended up winning the race fairly easily in 8:07. I felt really, really strong in the race. The pace felt extremely slow. We came through the mile in 4:24, and I felt like I was jogging, and I was able to pull away in the end. I took the lead with 2 laps to go, and I didn't close in a blistering fast pace, but I closed in around 60, and I was really happy about it. It was an amazing feeling. So after that race, I knew I could get myself into a better heat in the following week. So I emailed out the meet director at Boston and asked if he could put me in the fast heat the next week, and he ended up doing that. So shout out to the Boston University meet director. Thank you so much for helping me out here. Before I raced again, I went back to Seattle, did a few workouts in Seattle, and then came back to Boston. And before I raced, I started to really feel the fatigue of traveling back and forth. I can't travel 6 hours back and forth 2 different times within 2 weeks again next year. I got really just jet lagged. I felt weird for like 4 days both times. Like, it was what I had to do at the time because I couldn't get into meets. I didn't have the clout to get into other meets, but I did need to do this at the time. But in the future, I would probably do something different. So anyway, so I came into this race thinking, hey, these guys aren't better than you. Just stick with them and you'll have a shot. Unfortunately, that's not what happened. We went out in 4:17. I was in the middle to the back half of the pack, and we just kept ramping it up from there. And I kind of got spat out the back and got dropped essentially by the field in the end. But I knew I was on a really fast pace for myself still, so I didn't give up. I didn't put my head down and just feel bad for myself. I kept clicking off 31 pace and finished across the line in 9th place in my heat out of like 10 or 11. But I did run 7:58.08, which I was super, super pumped about. I broke 8 minutes in the 3K, and it's still just crazy to me that I've been able to get back to this fitness form in such a short period of time and race on such short notice and get to where I want in such an exciting time. So, you know, I initially said like I was a little disappointed with my race, but you know, I'm not disappointed with my race. I mostly was just, I think, disappointed that I couldn't have beaten any of those other guys. There's nothing I would have done differently in that race. We closed our last mile in 4:13, so you know, I can't complain about that. And I'm about 3 times stronger than I've ever been heading into an outdoor track season. And I'm just super, super excited about where I'm at now. So this week, I'm just relaxing, running 50 miles easy. If you guys want to follow me on Strava, I post literally every run. And if I don't post on my Garmin, then I will manually upload. So if you want to just tune into that, just follow me on Strava to get the day-to-day stuff. I was gonna say maybe my predictions for this season, but I'm gonna keep that to myself for now. But I feel like I've got a little ace up my sleeve this year, and I haven't been this happy and confident with running in such a long time. And I know you guys are noticing, so I'm excited. I think finally we may turn some heads, but hey, you guys all care about this, so that's really all that matters to me. And yeah, I'm excited to prove to myself that I can keep doing this, and I know that any obstacle that is in my way, I can get over it, and you guys should know that too. Next week I'll just be doing workouts again, and I'll have some more fun videos in store too. So with that, guys, thank you so much. Hey, get your mantra, use my code GoSpencer, link down below. See you guys soon.